Okay, let's move on. And Oliver Farry joins me now on set for a look at today's French papers. The arrest of terrorist suspects in Belgium last week has dealt a blow to the Islamic State group, but that group is also under pressure in Iraq and Syria.
Yes, Le Figaro reports on an intensified battle against the Islamic State group in its native lands, so to speak, of Iraq and Syria. It says coalition forces are managing to push the group back. Airstrikes against jihadists are, quote, bearing fruit. And Le Figaro notes that several of its leaders have been killed, and the liberation of Palmyra, which we see in the picture here, symbolises its weakening on the ground. But if the group might be in the process of being weakened in the Middle East, what about Europe, where it coordinated the attacks on Brussels and Paris? The left-leaning Libération says that the Islamic State group conducted the attacks from its base in Syria, adding that Ibrahim Bakrawi, who was implicated in both attacks and died in Brussels, was in direct contact with a backer who was located in Syria. That backer has not been identified, but a search of Bakrawi's computer is believed to have yielded mentions of other possible attacks in France, in the La Défense business district just west of Paris, and also against the traditionalist Catholic organisation Civitas. The Belgian federal prosecutor yesterday also confirmed that Mohamed Abrini, who was arrested on Friday and implicated in both attacks, had planned to strike France again, but was caught off guard by the French investigation and eventually decided to attack the Belgian capital instead.
Well, the growing links between the suspected attackers in both France and Belgium have led one French minister to say there were 100 potential French Molenbeeks. That's clearly a comment that's sparked controversy.
That's right. The city's minister, Patrick Caner, used the expression to highlight the existence of potential Islamist terror cells in France. Molenbeek, of course, being the neighbourhood of Brussels, which has produced numerous high-profile jihadists. Libération went to St-Denis, just north of Paris, and also Lunel in the south of France, and Roubaix, close to the Belgian border, three towns that were mentioned by the minister. Libe notes that in all three towns, beyond the rise of Salafism, there's also a peaceful multiculturalism. It's not all bad. Roubaix is ranked the poorest city in France, where 45% of the population live below the poverty line. Socialist Party members there acknowledge that petty crime, poverty and radicalisation are a feature of life there, but they say they would like glib statements in front of a microphone to be avoided, while the town's right-wing mayor says that labelling the town will not resolve any problems. Libe talks about the planned citizenship equality law, which was conceived after the Charlie Hebdo attacks in January last year, which is sort of intended to try and get around these social problems which do produce radicalisation. It laments that the 65 measures announced in it, however, which are intended to favour social mixing, fall short. The intended aim was to strengthen the place within the Republic of young people via citizen commitments to combat the creation of ghettos by favouring mobility and integration in public housing, and also to increase underprivileged households' access to more attractive neighbourhoods. Libe says, unfortunately, that's not really working out as planned.
And there's one other French law that's also sparking controversy, and that's the plans to tweak the labour laws.
Yes, there's real uproar against it. There have been protests for the last few weeks. The communist daily L'Humanité salutes this morning the Nuit debout, or Up All Night movement, which plans to stay on its feet day and night until the El Khomri law is withdrawn. The Paris daily Le Parisien also notes that a modified law will not satisfy the protesters. It has to be shelved completely. Now, the government is not going to contemplate that, but the business daily Les Echos says that Prime Minister Manuel Valls who today meets students' unions, he intends to defuse the conflict with the young, and he's also going to announce financial aid for job seekers and school leavers from this summer. Some in the press are wondering if the government is just waiting for the movement to run out of steam. The French edition of the Slate website calls Up All Night an enjoyable but limited movement. It finds striking the contrast between its heavy media presence and its relatively modest presence on the ground. Slate also notes that the group has a sociologically limited composition, which is overwhelmingly young, overwhelmingly white, and doesn't exactly stand out for its diversity.
And finally, Oliver, some good news for the staff of one British insurance company.
Yes, we all hear about super bonuses and golden parachutes for fat cat bosses, but Le Parisien reports that Henry Engelhardt, the American outgoing CEO of the British, or indeed Welsh Admiral Insurance Group, has decided to give something back on his retirement. He's donating €9 million to the company's 8,000 employees. That works out at €1,200 for everyone who has worked for the firm for 6 months or longer. Now, he says, I want to show my appreciation for those who really made the group success. The firm was established in 1993, but he could well afford it. His personal fortune is estimated at more than $1 billion, so it might actually be just small change for Mr. Engelhardt.
I think we've chosen the wrong job there, Oliver. I think we've definitely chosen the wrong company. Thanks very much for that spin through the French press.